What's up, guys? I'm Jay Randall. Welcome back to my channel. Have you guys ever noticed that married men never seem to recommend marriage to single men? Like, I've been noticing this over the past couple of years, and it's honestly very concerning, but it's also very eye-opening. Now, I've talked to a lot of married men over the years because I like to be informed as to what marriage is really like. I always ask them, like, what makes a marriage work? Are you happy? Do you regret it? Would you have done it earlier? Would you have done it later in life? I just want to get their perspectives, And I ask men of all different relationship types. I talk to men who are in the simpy kind of relationships where the woman is in charge and he's just pandering. And I talk to the men who are in between where, they're equal to their wives. And I also talk to the men who are in the kind of relationship that I want, where the man is the leader, the woman follows his lead, she's submissive, and he's like looked up to as that strong, dominant leader in the relationship. Those are the only men who I really take advice from. I don't take advice from the simps or the guys who are equal to their women. But I ask them, the same questions because I want to get their perspective. And I always ask them, if they are happy that they got married or do they regret it? And do they recommend getting married? And despite the relationship dynamic, overwhelmingly, men say no. Don't get married. They do not recommend marriage to other men who are single. They say stay single, enjoy your freedom. It's even if they say, I love my wife, I love my kids, I love my family, but they never recommend marriage as a course of action for other men. And, it just really gets me thinking as to why that is. Now, I have my theories, there's a lot of different reasons as to why that is. One of the reasons I believe that is the case is because men are often promised a lot and very little is actually delivered when it comes to what a man wants out of a relationship. A man is told that he gets, companionship, he gets love, he gets loyalty, he gets consistent sex, he gets respect, and very little of that is often delivered for most men in relationships. A lot of guys end up in, very thankless marriages where they're just kind of the workhorse who's just their entire job is just to keep the roof over their head and the food on the table, but very little appreciation is given. Most men are sold on the idea of monogamy, but they end up in a situation where it's really just celibacy. And, the whole bait and switch when it comes to sex, that's what I'm referring to, where the woman is all hot and heavy and in the beginning of the relationship and she just cannot seem to stop giving you sex, but as soon as you get into a relationship with her and you give her commitment and maybe, pump out the first one or two kids, all of a sudden sex life is non-existent. And that's a huge reason as to why men get into relationships, is for exclusive sexual access. And so, just a lot that men are hoping for just isn't delivered. Another reason I think men don't recommend marriage to other men is because men realize after they actually sign the document and they get married to the woman, they realize that the marriage was actually never really about them and the man being happy. And they realize that the entire structure of the relationship is solely based upon the woman's happiness. Like, the man's happiness plays very little part in the relationship dynamic. The woman's happiness is paramount. Every decision made is tailored to what will make her happy, what's going to keep her satisfied, what's going to not, can't make the wife upset. This is the whole dynamic of happy wife, happy life. And it's like, married men tend to be walking on eggshells because they don't want to upset the woman, because upsetting the woman means a lot of different things. It can mean that she could become an absolute tyrant and just, start making the household a living hell, just being upset and, creating dysfunction in the home because she's not happy. It could mean that she withholds sex from the man and, punishes him in that way because she's not happy. And, the whole happy wife, happy life thing also ultimately is her leveraging divorce over the man's head, where it's like, do what I say, make me happy, or else. And the ultimate or else is, I'll divorce you, take half your stuff, and run away with the kids. And men who are in that dynamic, they feel that pressure. They feel that I call it the sledgehammer hovering over their head, right? And anytime, they never know when, but that sledgehammer can drop, and the woman's always threatening them. Like, hey, don't make me unhappy, because once you sign that marriage document, the woman has the leverage. And she knows that she has the power of divorce on her side and how much damage that's going to do to a man. So the man at that point is just spending his days just trying to keep that horrible outcome from happening, which leads him to pander to whatever the woman wants to make her happy. And that's how they end up in these happy wife, happy life dynamics. It's a very, toxic situation. I call it a hostage situation. And it's unpleasant. And I think a lot of married men want to save single men from that reality. So they tell them, listen, I might love my family and I might even still love my wife, but no man ought to live in a dynamic where leverage is held against him. Men want to feel in control of their lives. They want to feel as though they have the power to enact their will and change things and, do and lead their life and even their family in the direction that they best see fit. But the way the current modern marriage system works, it completely shifts all power to the woman, and the man who once felt empowered as a single man or even when he was in a relationship now feels weak. And no man wants to feel weak. No man wants to feel trapped. No man wants to have sex leveraged against him. No man wants to be used as a wallet or taken for granted. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of married men report to be experiencing. So it makes sense as to why married men don't recommend marriage. Because here's the thing, as men, we actually look out for one another. And if we've made mistakes in our life or we've made decisions that we regret, and we see a young man or just a other guy in general, and he hasn't yet made those decisions, we're gonna inform him, hey bro, like I did this, here's how that played out for me, it didn't quite work out, I suggest you take a different path to avoid this outcome. We actually do that quite a lot. This is why men are great advisors, because unlike women who will steer other women down the same destructive path that they took, men will actually inform younger men in the right way that they should go, even if that means they end up with better outcomes than us. See, women don't really do that. They don't want other women to have better outcomes than them, because they're in competition in that way. They always want the next woman to be lower than them or not in a better position than them. And they get very upset when they see a woman doing better than them. Not us men. We look forward and we will take every opportunity we get to inform a young man on how to do better, how to avoid bad outcomes, whether it be in terms of their career, when it comes to making money, bad financial decisions, or dating and relationships. And like, bro, I did this, didn't work out. I don't suggest you take that course of action. Do this instead. That is what I believe will lead you to a better and more happier, fulfilling outcome. So I believe married men's reluctance to recommend marriage to other men is honestly done out of genuine care and wanting men to actually be in a better position. Now, here's the thing. Not every man is not going to recommend marriage. Honestly, the only guy that I know who consistently recommends marriage to me is my dad. And it makes sense as to why he recommends marriage to me, because he's married to my mother and she is a fantastic woman through and through. And I'm not just saying that. I think any guy who would be lucky enough to find a woman with the traits of my mother would be a very, very happy man. My dad often talks about how I should find a woman like my mother and find a woman who makes you happy to go home. My dad always talks about how my mother just creates an amazing home environment, how he always looks forward to going home after work and, sitting with her on the couch and, talking about the Bible. But he just always looks forward to that. And he tells us, me and my brothers, make sure you find a woman who makes you happy and excited to go home. Because a lot of women, bro, they will have you just sitting in the driveway, just, oh my gosh, head in your hands, just dreading going inside that house because you know what you're in for, and it's not a pleasant experience. My mother is also, extremely loyal, God-fearing woman. She prioritizes the family over career and all that other BS. She's very intelligent, was a teacher for many years, taught many different grades. Very, very informed, fiercely religious woman, God-fearing woman, not promiscuous, has a very, very, very clean past, the cleanest past. She was literally a virgin on her wedding night. So literally, like, if a guy could find that, like, that's something worth marrying. You get a woman that is gonna cook, clean, super submissive, God-fearing, intelligent, wise. You can rely on her for anything. Like, my dad never has to worry about my mother making decisions on his behalf because he trusts her judgment through and through. In fact, it's very funny because in this space we talk about how illogical women are and how they make foolish decisions and how they just very emotional. However, I credit a lot of my logical thinking to my mother. My mother is a very logical woman, and it's actually quite rare to come across a woman like that, which is why I had the false expectation that women were logical when I actually got out there and started dating. And then, of course, my expectations were wildly, higher than they should have been for women being logical. But it's because of my mother, is the why I think the way that I do and act the way that I do. My father as well, but I was raised by a very logical woman. And most men don't get that, though. Everything that my dad described, everything that my mom is very rare to get out of a woman in a relationship, especially in this day and age. Most men are getting modern women, very promiscuous, combative. They think they're equal to you. They prioritize their careers over the family. And men who marry those type of women and they realize what they've done, it makes sense they want to prevent other men from making that poor decision. So, yeah, I get it. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Have you had the same experience where, married men are just not recommending marriage when you ask them? Or do you get men who recommend marriage? What's your experience in that regard? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you got value from the video, please go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, check out my second channel. It's Jay Randall. On that channel, I do red pill reaction videos, as well as give you guys tips on how to navigate the dating scene. And until next time, guys, take it easy.